Hello, third and final video in the socialism series for now. So from the first two videos I wanted to kind of plug those into the macro picture, the global picture, and global is obviously the word that is most powerful here. I'll try and keep this short so I can get all three videos up today, but we'll see how we go. The global economy. The OECD countries had currencies, although they were being debauched all the time with their inflation, and if in doubt just pay people a bit more money so they can afford to pay their debts, the household debts and the government debts. Those currencies were still more credible than the emerging markets currencies, who were working hard but did not have credible currencies. What we have now is obviously the global market has started pulling strings, wool from the garment of the old world, because the global capitalists have realized that they can offshore the jobs to the emerging markets. Now, I am not totally sure that this was or would ever be a problem. Now, it can be argued, of course, but I don't think, at least for this particular video, that is not a problem. The only thing that would be a problem for the Western world is to keep their people occupied, to keep them working. As long as they're working and enough money is circulating in your home economy, and you're keeping this inflation game going, I'd be quite convinced that it could keep going indefinitely. But there has been the problem. I won't go into the problem. Let's just say it's offshoring of jobs to the East, and the East starting to develop currencies which are starting to gain credibility. What we have now is the West with, I think, problems, but they're kind of, the main problem is that they are feeling that they have to play the game to the rules of the emerging markets. They think that they have to now drop wages down to compete with each other so they do not lose jobs to the emerging markets. And by doing this, they are dropping down the amount of money circulating in their economies, and basically damaging the credibility of their own currencies with regard to the global economy. And the only way the system worked since the Second World War, 4 or 5 generations, is that we do this inflation thing, we have credibility in our own currencies, and other people in the outside world, the emerging markets, will work for our currencies. And we can pay each other a little more each year and keep everybody employed, and our money is the buying power for the new world. And it worked for 20 years. But what we're doing now is stopping doing the system that has worked for the last 3 or 4 generations. We are now stopping paying each other a little bit more. We're finding it hard to get the inflation going. I won't go into that, that'll just cause confusion. Let's just go with jobs. And we're squeezing our wages down. What we're basically doing is trying to play the game now on the reality level of the emerging markets. The emerging markets have always been playing to a greater extent on the reality level of things. They're using hard labor to get things so they could have this credible currency from the West. The bottom line, basically, I'll cut it out to keep it short, is what we're doing with this any sort of austerity thing is moving towards a reality-based economy. We are trying to keep the credibility in our currencies so we can keep the game going, but by using reality idea economics. And this is it's not an error, because the situation has forced itself on the Western governments, but it just will not work, because what we have lived on for 4 generations is a smoke and mirrors magic reality. Reality is the one that's there. It has been an illusion. We have created an illusion that has worked in the world. When now we start trying to work our economies on any sort of reality, although that reality is to try and keep the illusion going, all that we are going to do is deflate increasingly any semblance of the illusion that we once had. We are basically blowing the smoke away from our magic illusion of the way that we have been working our economy for the last 4 generations. And the more we do this, it's to get credibility in our currency so we can keep the system going, but the more that we do it, the more the smoke's going to be blown away, and there's going to be less and less and less credibility in our currencies as the world sees the system for what it was in the past, a magic trick. It's worked because it was absolutely smoked and covered it was invisible. People could not handle, they could not get through to see the reality of the magic system that worked for 3-4 generations. But now we're trying to maintain the credibility of the system by blowing smoke away and trying to show that we have the reality of an economy to keep the credibility of our currencies up there and our government bonds up there. It will not work, because the old system was just a con. It was a magic trick. And what we're doing is blowing the smoke away and revealing the magic trick for what it was. It absolutely will not gain any more credibility for the system. It cannot, because what it is doing is revealing the system for what it was, just a magic game, a magic trick. So they've started on the path of austerity. Austerity is blowing away the smoke. The more the smoke's blown away, the less credibility there will be in the Western economies. And I believe that when you go over the peak of deciding to reveal the magic game that your economy was by going into this austerity, there is absolutely no way back. You can't put the smoke back in place. And they will just increase the austerity, increase the visibility of the magic trick, and more credibility will be lost until the entire credibility is lost. That, I think, is the slope that we're on. By going towards reality, we are going towards playing the game on an equal footing with the emerging world. Our advantage was our smoke and mirrors credibility of the currencies and what we had in our economy, which was never anything. All we're doing is revealing that to the world and showing our complete nakedness. I think it's total folly, but maybe they're forced into it and they've got no other choice. But this is a no other choice than to agree to absolutely and guarantee to lose any future games that are coming. We are on a terrible downhill slope that there is no going back from. And I think there will only be acceleration of more and more austerity, more and more revealing the incredibility of our OECD economies. And there's no way out of it. The game's over.